Hey.
Chatters. Welcome, guys.
This is our additional episode following on from the Weaponised Incompetence episode. If you haven't heard that one, please listen first because that's going to be the context that you need. Heard with Bird. Cool. This story is help communicating with my helpless husband. Hang on, let me say that again. Help communicating with my 31 female, helpless husband, 36 male, ? Hello, I'm looking for some advice on how to constructively communicate with my 31 female, and this always trips me up on Reddit, because constructively communicate with my 31 female husband, 36 male. Just go with it.
I love how you say communicate.
Yeah. We've been together for about 8 years, married for 2. In general, I would describe myself as self-sufficient and self-reliant. When I see chores around the house, I complete them by myself, but my issue comes with acknowledging that the distribution of chores is widely unbalanced. I've started to verbatim ask my husband to do chores that I'd like him to complete, but he often asks for help and assistance for basic chores. Example, we had a party and have a bar in the basement. I transported maybe 20 dirty glasses upstairs and loaded them into the dishwasher. If I ask him to bring the glasses back downstairs and put them away, he would ask for help. If I ask him to bring trash cans out to the street, 4 cans, our driveway is 30 feet long, he asks me to help him. Obviously, almost every task in the world would be easier with help, but he both doesn't offer to help me when I'm doing my chores, and I don't really want to help because I'm capable of doing simple chores alone, and he does seem to utilize weaponized incompetence via pretending not to realize basic things need to be done without me verbatim telling him to do them. Please stop using big words. Verbatim just means like straight out.
I know.
Oh, okay, cool.
I think that's
what it I'm guessing. Context clues here.
I think it's a lot of unsaid. They need to have the conversation, and again, it's values. From her, there's a point where I kind of get it. I just don't enjoy doing things by myself. That's with every area of life. I don't enjoy doing things by myself. Even my relaxed times, I don't want to relax by myself. It's just so boring. So there's that element. I'm like, I get it. I don't want to do stuff by myself either. But it's not down to my competence. It's down to I just don't enjoy doing things by myself. Yeah. But at the same time, I think, I think she's got expectations that she's not communicating.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that there's a bit of contempt in what she's sharing here.
Yeah.
This frustration, but she's not actually having the conversation to help him be aware of her frustration. Because I think there's a difference between helping someone be aware of your frustration, through a good conversation, or me being passive aggressive, and that's how I'm communicating my frustration. It's just like, I'm frustrated right now. Just do your stuff. This is what you need to be done. I always have to tell him. When you have the conversation, I think it allows for people to step up.
Yeah, I've actually had this conversation so many times this week, which is upsetting, and it's a mixture of mental load and
contempt,
and contempt, mental load, and weaponized incompetence.
Oh, right.
It is exhausting to have to walk someone through the things that you're doing and that need to be done. We've talked about this on mental load. It's exhausting, but we've also said that there's reasons people come to the table with different attitudes or different behaviors, whatever. It could be how they're brought up, could be what they've seen, like you mentioned in the first episode, could be that they've never seen a man have to do these things, so they just don't know how to do it, or they just haven't been forced into that space. It's unfortunate that women tend to be the ones that just know how to do these things, or they just step up to the plate to do these things. And so then it's unfortunate that there tends to be this tension, because from the woman's perspective, me having to tell you that I do more than you is a really uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah.
Me having to look at you, and this is the conversation I've had with like at least 3 people in the last 2 weeks, look at you sitting on your phone while I'm doing difficult things, and tell you to get off of your phone, get off the thing you're enjoying, get off having your relaxing time and come do the thing that's not fun, is a really crappy feeling. It's a really crappy feeling.
Yeah.
And so I can totally understand how it would become a bitterness. It would become a contempt. It would become this passive aggressive thing, because no one wants to have to say that to their partner. But the reality is, as we say all the time, where do you want to be in 5 years' time? And unless you're able to clearly communicate, not just because you're babying them through it, but clearly communicating even how significant it is to you. Being like, this actually really hurts me. Like, you're actually really hurting me in this process. then it's not just going to magically get better. It's just actually not going to get better. And so it really is a give and take. It's a crappy thing to have to step someone through.
It is. And so there's two parts here, and again, we're never ever excusing the behavior. Guys, we need to step up. Like that's simply it. For a lot of guys, for a lot of these circumstances or these situations, it comes from the guys. That's just what we see. We don't have stats by that. This is just what we see and what we read. It's a lot of it's from the guys. And if you're listening, obviously you are, because I'm saying this to you, we need to step up. That's our responsibility. We need to identify that in ourselves and ask the question, like, how are we going in this area? You know what I mean? And if we're struggling, like, so let's just say an easy example like that, I'm on the phone while my partner or wife is off doing dishes. I don't have my phone. I don't do this thing until this time or whatever else, right? Because I'm going to go off and make sure these things are done beforehand. And there's something really simple and practical that we could be doing. So, for example, for us, as soon as we put the kids down, I would go straight in front of the screens, right? And it's just because I'm just like, I'm ready to stop. I've been working all day. It goes, because I work from home, it's just this intense time from finish work, come out, chaos, dinner, get the kids to bed, and I'm just wiped. And I'll just go in front of the screens. And I was like straight away. And I'll just, And so what I put in place, and this is the thing is, I don't want to have to rely on you telling me things. So I put in place, I'm not going to do that until 7 o'clock. The minimum, that's my thing, is 7 o'clock. And that's my time that I put in place. I'm not going to wait for Amy to do that for me. I need to do that because I need to show that I am aware of these things and I'm putting things in place to actually help with those things.
But I had to raise it as a concern and then you put it in place.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if I hadn't had that conversation with you, then
I wouldn't have been aware of it.
You wouldn't have been aware.
Yeah.
No, that's what I mean. I'm saying, like, that's why the conversation is important.
Yeah.
Because even though it seems like something that, this is the trap, is from women's perspective, it's like, obviously.
Yeah.
Why is it not obvious? No, I'm not saying this to you, but just like, that's the attitude, especially some of these situations. It's like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Why is this not obvious? And the reality is, it may be obvious and they're ignoring it. Who knows? But it might not be. And if you want something to change, you're not going to get anywhere by being passive aggressive, except for potentially just building contempt and building bad habits. But two, you're also not going to be able to fully express the seriousness. And unless you can communicate this thing, like we've said, if you communicate it, if you can't communicate it, it's your responsibility till you do. Once you've communicated it, it's your joint responsibility to navigate it. It's your responsibility to step up where I need
and do something about it. Yeah.
So if you're not able to have these conversations and say how seriously it affects you, you also then can't pull that card and be like, this is like my boundary. This is where we need to work. To some extreme examples, people do need to be like, I'm not okay with this action continuing. Yeah. And you can't get to that point and you can't express that until you've had those conversations leading up. I couldn't out of the blue be just like, I'm not okay with this and we're done. Like that's not going to work. No. And it helps you help them. But it also helps you help yourself so that down the track you can be like, no, I know I've done everything I can. I have done everything I can to communicate this with my partner. If they're not picking it up, that is on them. And that's when I can look at more serious boundaries and whatever needs to happen. But yeah, the communication needs to be clear. Like we said in the first episode, it needs to be in a way that your partner hears it, in a way that is like not encouraging, like, oh, you're fine, but like challenging in a positive way, challenging in a way to make you step up. But also real and raw. Yeah. And that's for both of your sakes. It's not just for one side.
There's stuff that's come out about how for a lot of guys, they do what they see, right? So what's been modeled to them. So again, this is what we're doing. We're changing the culture of manhood, I guess. This is what I'm very passionate about, is changing the culture of manhood from this, just switched off at home but very present out of the home. And we see this so many times, right? And especially in my line of work, I see this so many times about people who just switched off at home. And I'm trying to get better at this, and I've had to put a lot of work into this, and we've done that together, which is why I'm so thankful for our marriage and the way that we communicate, is because I don't feel like I'm out on my own trying to figure stuff out. I have your support and helping me build new habits, break old habits, right? because a lot of the negative things that we see is something, the negative things that we do is something that we've seen. So this is really important for both couples to understand. Again, we're not excusing it. We're not making excuses, but understanding what we're breaking is going to be really important for you to be able to make that progress going forward. So for you, you might have seen your dad, just not present at home. He might have always been at work. He might have, just not emotionally available, whatever else, and we can tie back and see that and start seeing it play out in our own lives. But you have a choice to break that. That is a conscious decision that you need to make, and you can do it. You can do the things that you want to do. Identify what it is that you want to be, how you want to be at home, how you want to be at work, how you want to be in all these different places, and work towards that. You can do it. There is no excuse for you to not go into that direction.
Yeah.
You might have some reasonings of why you struggle to get there straight away, but start the journey and don't have excuses of not moving forward.
Yeah. If you think about how you'd like to be described by people after you're gone.
Yeah. By workmates, by family.
By everyone, yeah.
And we've mentioned a few times, there's that whole thing about when people are on their deathbed, what's important to you, and it's always family. Yeah. That's what's important.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's it's easy to float through when you're not being confronted with how it's coming across or affecting other people. It's when you think about how it would project into the world, more confronting. Anyway,
we've got kids up and they're knocking on the door and they want us to come out. So we're going to go be parents for a change.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
Good chat. Thanks, chatters. We love you guys. Thank you so much for your support. Yeah. It is absolutely amazing. We're going to keep saying, because we actually mean it, is very encouraging, your support. So thank you so much. We appreciate you guys, and we'll see you next week.